The cafe smelled of roasted coffee beans and quiet heartbreak that morning. The rain outside pressed softly against the glass, and the world seemed to hold its breath as Emily Carter walked in, one hand clutching a worn leather purse, the other gently holding the tiny hand of her 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Her heart was pounding so loud she could hear it in her ears. Today wasn't supposed to happen this way. She had promised herself she would never bring her daughter into something so uncertain, so fragile. But she had no choice. This was the only chance she had left to make things right, or to finally let go. She spotted him almost immediately. Daniel Hayes, the man she once thought she'd spend forever with. He looked older now, maybe a little tired, but still carried that calm confidence she had fallen for years ago. His hand rested on a coffee mug, untouched. His eyes met hers, and for a second, everything stopped. Time folded into itself. Memories rushed back, the laughter, the dreams, the moment he had walked away when he found out she was pregnant. Before you continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel for more real, emotional stories that touch the heart. Emily hesitated, then guided Lily to the table. The little girl climbed onto the chair, swinging her small legs, completely unaware of the tension slicing through the air. Emily tried to steady her breathing, her fingers trembling as she placed a napkin on her lap. Daniel's eyes darted from Emily to Lily, confusion flickering into recognition. Then something deeper. Guilt, maybe even regret. The silence was unbearable. The rain tapped against the window like the ticking of a clock, counting down the seconds before one of them finally spoke. Emily took a deep breath. She had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in her mind, and yet now that it was here, every word seemed too small. "Daniel," she began softly, "this is Lily." He froze. His lips parted slightly as though her words had pulled the air right out of him. For a moment his eyes softened. He saw himself in the shape of Lily's nose, in the shade of her chestnut hair. He looked down, his voice barely a whisper. "She's mine." Emily nodded, her throat tightening. "Yes, she's yours." The weight of those words sank between them like a stone dropped into still water. Daniel leaned back, his hand trembling as he ran it through his hair. He didn't look angry, just lost. "You should have told me," he said finally, the hurt in his voice barely contained. Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I tried," she said quietly. "You left before I could. You said you needed space, that you couldn't handle the pressure. I was scared, Daniel. And when I realized you weren't coming back, I promised myself I'd raise her on my own." For a while, neither of them spoke. Lily was drawing something on the napkin with a crayon from her pocket. 2 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. She looked up, smiling proudly. "Mommy, look!" "It's us," Emily smiled weakly, her eyes glistening. Daniel watched them, his heart twisting. He had spent years chasing success, building a company, living a life that looked perfect from the outside. But now, sitting across from Emily and the daughter he never knew he had, he realized how hollow that success truly was. He cleared his throat. "Why now, Emily? Why tell me after all these years?" Her gaze drifted to the window, where the rain had softened to a gentle drizzle. "Because Lily started asking about her father," she said, "and I didn't want to lie anymore. I told her the truth, that her dad was someone I once loved very much. She asked if she could meet you. I thought, maybe she deserves to know you, even if you don't want to know us." Her voice broke on the last word. She quickly looked down, blinking back tears. "If you want to leave, I'll understand." Those words shattered something deep inside Daniel. He saw the pain she had carried alone, the fear, the exhaustion, the courage it took just to show up today. He thought about the years he had wasted being afraid of commitment, of responsibility, of love that demanded more than convenience. And now, staring at the little girl who called Emily Mommy, he realized what he had missed. "I don't want to leave," he said softly, almost to himself. "Not again." Emily looked up, surprised. Daniel leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Lily. "Hey, kiddo," he said with a tentative smile. "Do you like pancakes?" Lily giggled. "They're my favorite." He smiled, his voice cracking just slightly. Mine too. The waitress came over, sensing the emotional current in the air, but pretending not to notice. She took their order. 3 pancakes, 2 coffees, and 1 glass of milk. As she walked away, Emily exhaled, her body finally releasing the tension she'd been carrying. They talked quietly as the food arrived. Daniel asked about Lily's school, her favorite colors, the stories she liked to read at night. Emily watched them, her heart aching and healing all at once. She hadn't seen him smile like that in years. For the first time, she saw not the man who left, but the man he could have been, and maybe still was. As the morning went on, laughter began to replace the silence. Lily told Daniel about her stuffed animals, about how she wanted to be a superhero nurse when she grew up so she could fix broken people. He listened intently, tears welling in his eyes at her innocence. Emily just sat there, her heart full and fragile, wondering if maybe this was the start of something new, or just a moment that would vanish when the check came. When Lily went to the restroom, Daniel looked at Emily. His voice was low, sincere. You've done an incredible job with her. I can't imagine how hard it's been. Emily shook her head, smiling faintly. It wasn't easy, but she's my whole world. I just wanted her to have a chance to know where she came from. He reached across the table, his hand brushing hers. I don't deserve this chance, Emmy said, but if you'll let me, I want to try. I want to be part of her life, maybe even yours if there's still a place for me. Her breath caught. For years she had dreamed of hearing those words, but she had also learned that promises were fragile things and hope could be dangerous. Daniel, she said softly, this isn't about us anymore. It's about her. If you really want to be here, for her, then start by showing up. He nodded. Every day, he said, I'll prove it. The next few months were cautious but beautiful. Daniel began visiting regularly. He'd take Lily to the park, help her with her homework, even show up at her school recitals. Emily watched from the sidelines, uncertain but grateful. Slowly, trust began to rebuild, not through grand gestures, but through small, steady moments. There were nights when Daniel would drop by just to read Lily a bedtime story. Sometimes Emily would catch him staring at her, that same quiet admiration in his eyes that once made her fall in love. But she didn't rush anything. Love, she knew now, wasn't about perfection. It was about patience, forgiveness, and the courage to try again. One winter evening, months after that cafe meeting, Daniel knocked on Emily's door with something in his hands, a small photo frame. Inside was Lily's crayon drawing from that day at the cafe. Under the rainbow, 3 stick figures now stood together, holding hands. She added me, Daniel said with a smile, his voice thick with emotion. Emily felt tears well up. She always believed you would stay, she whispered. He took a step closer, his voice trembling. And I will. For both of you outside, snow began to fall, soft and silent. Inside, 3 souls who had once been broken began to heal together. The pain of the past didn't disappear, but it no longer defined them. What mattered now was the promise of tomorrow, the promise of a family finally finding its way home. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to support more stories about love, healing, and the courage to start over. Every engagement helps us reach others who need a little hope today. And before you go, comment below, do you believe people can change if love gives them one more chance? Because sometimes forgiveness isn't about forgetting the past. It's about building a future strong enough to hold it.